Guys, I have Brent Daniels back in the studio. It's more like we're in a basement somewhere.
Yep.
But here we are talking about real estate. And this video is really pivotal, I think, in a lot of people's journey into wholesale real estate and into real estate investing in general, because there's something I talk about, Brent, that really resonated with you. I feel like you've taken this idea and added some more layers to it, maybe some more context to it. And so you and I love talking about this because everybody who gets into this business, hopefully they're not thinking about a deal, but they're thinking about a business that does deals. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they get in and all they're worrying about is a deal. And then, you know, like you do the deal and then you're back to zero, ground zero again. And that's no way to do this business. You really want to be thinking about, how do I set up processes, systems, team, you know, some things that can create consistent results.
Yeah.
A business.
Yeah.
And how do we take the idea?
A cash machine.
Yeah. How do we take this idea of like, get a house at a discount, sell it for more money? How do we take that idea, but turn it into a business that is predictable and repeatable and sustainable? And that's one thing that you're a master at teaching. Everything I do, I try to push back to that model, which is, guys, remember, it's not about the deal. It's about the business. How do we do the right things to build the business? And so around this idea, Brent, there's like these phases that people move through. And you go from that beginner, like proof of concept, I would say is first. Got to get that proof of concept. If you can't get the proof of concept, nothing else matters because you just don't think it's real until you do it. No matter how many people you've watched on a podcast that said they did it, until you do it, it's not going to register in your brain. So you got to get that proof of concept. But from there, then you can go all the way up to multi-million-dollar producer. And in between, there are some phases. So let's talk about this. What are those phases? How can people, you watching, how can you be aware of what they are so that you can appropriately and developmentally make the shifts? And then what I love you do is you actually break down what your business should look like, your team should look like, when it's time to hire and so on.
So I think, you know, fundamentally, step number one is you have to find your tribe. You have to find people that are doing this. Right? Because if you're stepping into real estate and you're not from a family of real estate, you don't have all your friends are in real estate, you're going to be on an island by yourself.
You're alone.
And it won't happen.
No.
It won't happen. You need to collaborate with people that are doing this. So whether it's a local real estate investor, whether it's a coaching program, whether it is even the comments section here on your channel, like just reach out to people, you know, or any of the meetups.
That's that squad up mentality that we talk about.
You got to find people that are doing this and that are going to cheerlead you. It's so critical that you have that. That's step number one. Number two is do a deal. Do a deal, right? What you say is proof of concept.
Who cares how much you make? Just do a deal.
Just make $1, make 100,000. Just make income from your efforts here. Let it be real, right? And because then once it's real, you don't have to rely on faith. And faith is awesome, but once you cross that bridge to fact, then your mind just opens. You're like, oh, okay, I can really do this. I can really build something.
It's almost like you make it out to be something impossible, then you do it and you're like, well, wait a minute, that actually wasn't right. I think I could do that again. Right. I think I could do that multiple times. That happens in your brain. So
then the next step is fire your boss. Right? If you have a job, make enough income to replace your current income so that you can walk in one of the greatest days that you'll ever feel and say, thank you, boss, for the opportunity, but I no longer have to work here. Like that is a huge day.
I mean, to me, that was the life-changing moment.
It's huge. It's huge. And you've helped so many people have that day. So, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So go into this business full-time and then really treat your business like a job. Like treat your business. The morning is for finding deals. The afternoon is for doing deals. Like be in it, make the calls, go on the meetings, go on the appointments, do all of these things in the beginning.
Serious. I call this phase the lone wolf.
That's it.
And it's that solo owner, solo operator, right? One man show, one girl show, where, you know, you're the janitor and the CEO, you're doing everything, but you're transacting a couple deals. You don't need the job anymore. You're in it full time. It's a great place. It's an amazing place.
And I'll put a graphic. I sent you the graphic of the 7 steps here, but essentially you're doing all 4 of the main factors of your business. You're doing administration, you're doing lead generation, you're doing acquisitions and dispositions.
Those are the 4 areas.
Those are the 4 areas, right? Now, once you start getting that consistency, now you can get out of the admin. Now you can hire a VA, right? That's really the second stage where, okay, I've got a VA that's making sure all my lists are skip traced. They've got my routes all mapped out for where I'm going to door knock. They've got any marketing that I have already set up. They're just pressing go. They're doing all that stuff. I'm just talking to people all day long, going on appointments, making offers, comping deals, looking at things, meeting great people. That's our job. And then the next stage, once we get some income, is we get some help with lead generation. This is where we can hire VA callers. This is when we can get VA texters, or we can buy into maybe an AI type of response, technology or something. This is where we can start outsourcing some of it, or maybe we just get some other people to go door knocking with us. You know what I mean? But that's the next stage.
And what do you call that? What do you call that job? Lead manager, or what are you calling them? Acquisitions?
It would just
assistant.
It's just lead generation. I mean, it's somebody that's going to be doing it's a cold caller. It's a door knocker. It's somebody that's going to help you get opportunity.
But you're still closing. You're still acquisitions.
Still closing.
Okay, guys.
You're still acquisitions. Okay. You're still disposition. You're still generating leads.
Yeah.
You're a hybrid, right? It's not, I'm going to turn on my VA caller and then stop making calls completely. Stop knocking doors, stop going out and being proactive, stop making offers on the MLS, right? Like, you're still doing that. You're just getting help now.
Got it.
You're supercharging your efforts, And then once you start getting some consistent there, you can get out of the lead generation completely. And then you're just doing acquisitions and disposition. And then it goes all the way down to where you finally replace yourself. But the last thing that you do to replace yourself is dispositions. That'll be the last thing.
Would you ever do acquisitions first, or hire dispositions first and stay on acquisitions? Or do you always do where you hire acquisition, you keep doing dispo, and then do dispo last?
Dispo last.
Okay.
Because I want to build a relationship with the cash buyers. They're our customers.
Yeah.
The cash buyers pay us. Yeah. Like on the settlement statement, Jerry, right? When it says assignment fee, is it on the seller side or the buyer side?
That's on the buyer side.
It's on the buyer side.
Yeah.
So the buyer actually pays us based on what they think the potential of that deal is. So if they think the potential of that deal is 10,000, we get 10,000. You know what I mean? Like they're willing to pay us 10,000 for that. If they think it's, worth 100,000, they'll pay us 100,000 for that deal. And
I think by far your most important relationships are those cash buyers.
100%.
I mean, the sellers, it's as easy as a script. It's, do you want to sell? There's some real skill there, I think, to get good at it. But man, creating a cash buyer that's going to keep buying from you, or that you can, and those guys are savvy, so it takes a certain level of, you gotta be able to get on their level with them and negotiate and hold firm on numbers. Like there's some real skill that's needed there on the dispo side.
We call it building healthy tension with your cash buyers, right?
I mean, I argue with them in a good way, but like they're trying to get a deal.
But if you look at, who are the repeat people in our business, repeat customers, it's the cash buyers. It's not the sellers typically. We might do a couple deals with the seller if they own a couple, but usually it's one and done and they disappear into the mists and we never see them again, right?
So let me make sure I'm following this, Brent. So you're gonna start out with just general admin.
Yep.
Then you're gonna get some admin on the leads gen side.
Yep.
They're helping with lead gen.
You're gonna get help generating the leads. Yep.
And then you do acquisition person. So then, but when you bring on acquisition, you're still acquisition. They're like junior acquisition or acquisition and training.
Yeah. So there's 2 parts of acquisition, which is really important. You've got what we call a junior acquisition manager. Some people call it a setter and a closer. We've got a junior acquisition and a main acquisition, and the junior is in the office all the time. And the office is just his house. It's not like in my office. It's at their house. And then you got your acquisition manager that's on the streets, right?
On appointment.
Yeah. I don't want my streets guy sitting in the office all day.
No, he's not.
I want him available for an appointment right now. Okay. And I go to in-person appointments. I'm not virtual.
Me too.
So there's a little bit of nuance if you're doing it virtual, but the junior acquisition manager is just warming up leads until they're ready to make the decision on who they're going to choose as their home buyer, right? And so then they set up the closers to do that. So when you hire somebody, you hire that person first that's going to do all the lead follow-up, and you go on the appointments, close the deals. And then you can replace yourself with a closer as you go down the 7 layers.
And then you would stick to just dispo. So you're just on the dispo.
Right.
And then eventually you're going to hire a dispo manager.
Yeah.
And then at that point in time, you're truly in the owner's box now.
Yeah.
You're in the owner's box. Now, it doesn't mean you're not working.
Right.
Because you got to make sure all the cogs are turning and the whole machine's working.
Yeah.
And you're going to be solving problems and making sure everybody's, got what they need to be successful. But you've now transitioned into a real business. And it's fascinating to me to see like operations like yours, like Cody Hoffine. And Cody spends an hour a week in his wholesale business. They do a couple $1 million a year. You're the same way. You got your team in place, everybody operating on all cylinders. And someone can start from 0, 1-person show and move into this area. And what's cool about this too, Brent, is it's not a lot of people to run a multi-million-dollar operation.
No, from an acquisition standpoint, I think every acquisition manager with one junior acquisition manager feeding several acquisition managers, each acquisition manager can do $2 million in income. That's usually where I see the breaking point. It's $2 million in income.
One acquisition with a junior can do $2 million.
So if you want $4 million, you only need 3 people on your acquisitions team.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. And if you're running a lean business where you're at a 40, 50% profit margin, you're doing really well in that owner's box. Have a team run your company.
Well, then at that point, it's real exciting, Jerry, because all I do is try to find ways to spend more money to get more leads.
Yeah.
Then now I'm spending more money on TV or radio or pay-per-click or all of these things to get more leads in the top of the funnel for my junior acquisition manager to go pew, 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 and get out to my
This is where it gets fascinating because I've had this conversation with like Rob Wensley with InvestorLift, and he's got really good data because he's got these buyers on the platform or wholesalers on the platform. And he told me, he said, Jerry, it's fascinating to see the operators out there that are doing $1 million a month or 500,000 a month, like the high producers.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, they don't have any bigger teams. They just spend more on marketing and they have bigger assignment fees. That's it. They're actually no bigger in team size. They just spend more in marketing and they have bigger assignment fees.
It depends on what kind of business you run. Those are businesses that are direct to seller. Right? They are. These aren't the referral businesses where you need a lot of manpower. This isn't some of the, like a disposition company where you're just finding all the deals and selling all the deals to your cash buyers. That you need way more horsepower. You need way more people running that whole thing. And so it's a trade-off. Do you spend money on people or do you spend money on marketing? And any business owner, Jerry, that has been an entrepreneur for over 10, 15, 20 years is going to tell you less people, more marketing.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
People are a variable. Do they show up? Are they consistent? Do they have the right attitude? Do they represent your values? Like all the things.
Well, and also 80% of the deals are done by 20% of a big team. You know what I mean? So just get the best of the best, feed them great opportunities, and they're winners. They want to win.
Yeah, I like to. You said something earlier about, and this might have been our previous video where we were talking about this, but when you come into this business, you come in with like usually no money. Most people get in with no money or little money. And even if they have money, they shouldn't be spending it on the business. And then a lot of time to sometime. And there are some exceptions. Like, I don't know if you know Tony Mont and Eric Klein, but their first year, they did 2-point-some million, first year in real estate. But they came with heavy business and heavy marketing and sales background.
Sure.
So it was just a different widget for them. And they killed it. So some people can come in and they can just jump right to the high volume and the lots of deals if they've got strong sales and strong business backgrounds. But for most of us, it's this pivotal transitional thing. I mean, it was for me, it was for you. Started with nothing, no skills, just, work ethic, and that was it. And got our way there. So my question, Brent, is as people move through these phases, is there some benchmarks? I know everyone's going to be different, but are there some benchmarks where you should be able to say, okay, you should be able to pivot in 6 months or a year? Or how long do you need to be in these phases? Any visibility on that?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's all on overwhelm, right? When your cup's running over with leads, you need to start bringing on acquisitions. You know what I mean? If you're going out and you're really putting it in and you're really going on as many appointments as possible, and you are just like, oh my gosh, I am running wild all day, every day, then you start bringing some people on, because you need to not only have now you've got more expense in your business, so you have to be able to have more deals so that you keep netting the same amount or more. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but the point of business is actually to take the money home. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, take it home personally. It's not just to keep, putting it into the business and paying yourself a tiny salary all the time. So you got to be overwhelmed so that there's enough overflow that they can start working on that while they're apprenticing under you. And then you can start, really pushing it over, the responsibilities over to them. That's really the factor. I would love to be like, oh, it's 300,000 in an account or this and that, right? It's when you're closing deals consistently, you're overwhelmed. And when that happens, when you're in action, you know this, when you're in a lot of action, you're like, and you're in real estate, there's a lot of enthusiasm that you have in your life.
Yeah.
And that energy and that enthusiasm, people feel that and they want to be a part of it. So all of a sudden you become like this magnet for people that want to be like, what are you doing? Wait a second. You're buying houses? You're selling houses? What is that?
Yeah.
You making any money at it? You know what I mean? It's like that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where Jonah Hill sees Leonardo DiCaprio's car and he's like, what do you do? How much do you make?
Yeah.
You live in the same building as I do. Show me a check and I'll come work for you.
Yeah.
That's literally how it works. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, because like one of the things I like to teach, Brent, is if you want to attract A talent, you have to become an A leader. You can only attract talent equal to your leadership ability, right? So that's that energy that people feel, because an A leader, they're not going to attach to a B, or an A talent is not going to attach to a B leader. They're just not, because they want to be part of something where they feel like it's going somewhere special.
That's right.
And they'll leave and go to that place, right? So how do you get the A talent? You become an A leader.
That's it.
And this is that phase, I like to call this phase where money goes to die. And it's that transitional period where a lot of us, we're just not great leaders, but we're busting at the seams. So we start hiring on a gut check, and we start, well, let's try that marketing channel. We have no idea. And you're throwing money here, you're throwing money there, you're hiring the wrong people, and and it's sort of like, in a way, you kind of have to go through that to learn how to do it better.
Sure.
Become that leader. And what happens, I see, Brent, is most people, they go back to that solo operator. They go backwards instead of forwards, because they're looking at taking on the overhead and hiring and training. And they're like, man, I made more money before when I was by myself. I'm taking home less today. This sucks. I'm going backwards. Yeah. Rather than see it through, learn how to hire right, learn how to manage your leads, learn the things, become the leader that the team needs. Be that leader, and you have to grow into that. And then you can go to that next phase, which is really where everything starts to fire on all the cylinders.
Well, and my big mistake is real estate, you can get big checks. And then all of a sudden you have like 30,000, 50,000, 70,000 in a checking account. And you're like, I'm the richest man alive.
Yeah.
I'm I am so good. And your ego starts going, and then you go, people should work for me. That never works, right? You got to really check the ego and be like, okay, like that's why you got to be around people doing like way more than you.
Yeah.
Or your ego goes bananas and everything falls apart because you hire people that are like fans.
Your buddies and stuff.
Yeah. Or like, you know what I mean? They're just like, wow, you're the greatest. You're like, yeah, this guy will run through a wall for me. You know what I mean? But can't close a door, can't close a deal. You know what I mean? Like, and so we got to really watch our ego, and it's really tough to do, especially if you didn't have a lot of money in an account or didn't grow up with a lot of money. When you do have that in real estate, it's inevitable. It'll happen. Just check yourself.
Yeah.
Just take a second, be around somebody that's doing more.
I see that happen, and I also see the coasting thing set in where you're like, I got $100,000 on the account. Maybe you're not going to pick the phone up today.
Vacation.
Yeah, vacation time, baby. Right? And then 3 months go with no deals and 100 grand is gobbled up in overhead and you're back to where you were.
Yeah.
Rather than just pretend like it's not there, keep going, grind,
Yep.
Do the work. So yeah. So guys, I hope this was really helpful to kind of see these phases of development and watch out for these traps, but also be aware of what it takes to progress through, and have a plan. Like I wish someone would have mapped this out, what you just described there to me and said, hey, there's actually a roadmap for you to go from running around doing a deal here and there to doing a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
I didn't see that vision. No one showed me that vision. I didn't even know that was possible. I was just happy to make a few bucks, and pay my bills and make more money than I was at my minimum wage job. And, it was just, I just took it as it came. And I wish more than anything that I had the vision of what it took to become $1 million producer and how I could climb that ladder to get there and have a plan about it.
Yeah.
Just have a plan.
And it takes longer than you think. It really does.
You ready for setbacks?
It takes longer than you think. The real estate market is, the analogy is like the ocean, right? When the tide pulls out, it exposes a lot of people that don't have great business practices. And I think if you're going to start a marketing channel, if you're going to start a strategy, can you do this for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
That'll help eliminate those new shiny objects that pop in, and they always do. Now it's AI, now it's something else, now it's this and this and this, which works for a little bit and then shuts down. And then you have to go and scramble and figure out how you're going to get your leads. Yeah. So always have a way to talk directly to property owners yourself. I think that that's a great hedge against anything that happens in the market. Get really, really good at that. And recruit and train really great people. You can have, I love this. Somebody said this. I think it was, it might've been Hermosi. You can have the perfect game plan, but bad draft picks, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have a perfect game plan and you have the draft picks, you're going to win the championship.
Yeah.
You're going to win.
That's how you're going to do it.
Yep.
Well, guys, if you want to learn more from Brent, I'm going to put in the description below some information about how you can get in his world. You can take some of his coaching, some of his training. Brent has a world-class PPC organization for marketing. If you guys are at that place where you're ready to really get those juicy inbound leads from pay-per-click and Google ads, Brent really does a phenomenal job. He does some of my partners in some of our markets, so it's great. And just where you can kind of learn more from Brent, be sure to check out his YouTube channel and join Brent and I every Monday night. We're on Wholesale Hotline with Jamil and Pace Morby, and we get to hang out
and the
there.
podcast.
Yeah, and the
7
podcast.
days a week.
Yeah. We just hit, as of this recording, the 5-year anniversary for the podcast, and I don't how many 23,000 hours or some crazy thing like that. So Brent and I put a lot into this. We've been around this industry for a while, so be sure to keep learning from people that have been around and sustainable in this industry, because they're going to tell you the things that maybe everybody else doesn't tell you because they're doing some gimmicky thing that's working today. Versus, I love that you're just such a strong fundamentals guy. Yeah. Right? Like there's sound business practices, and if you stick to that, you're going to get results. I love that.
Yeah, it's, all of this is just, it might sound challenging, but if you implement it, it will work.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed it will work, and you can build a really great, long-lasting business.
Well, what's the thing you say all the time on Wholesale Hotline? Like it's undeniable, the results?
Yeah. It's undefeated.
It's undefeated.
If you talk to enough people and make enough offers, you will make a fortune.
You will get deals.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every time. Just do the work.
That's the game plan. Just draft right.
Well, thank you, Brent. Sure appreciate you. And guys, leave a comment. Let us know your big takeaways from this video. Any questions you might have. Tell us what phase you feel like you're in right now. And Brent and I would love to see what we can do to help you progress to that next level. And we'll see you guys on the next video.